Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. In this video I will feature Vladimir Putin's statement after they launched that ICBM on Ukraine, the first time they ever did such a thing. And I will have his statement. It's about, I'm not going to start it from the very beginning, but it's about 5 minutes or so, not even. And I will go over reactions all over the world to this missile strike, intercontinental ballistic missile strike. So let's start with Putin's statement. And the big development that I take out of this, and I would like you obviously to pay attention, and let me see what's going on here, pay attention and see if that coincides with or confirm or deny with my conclusion. I think he threatens to hit military installations of in the states who support attacks on Russia, which is if you have a control center starting in Poland, he will destroy that over there. But I'm getting too detailed. Let's watch the video, listen to Putin, and definitely he threatens them and tells them, you know, if you continue, we will adjust, we will adapt, and we will do this. It's clear. And I'm going to show you how these guys ignore his statements as a bluff or it's not. It was nothing. These guys they really want Russia to use nuclear weapons. That's my assessment. Why? We're going to discuss that. So this is Putin, obviously, and let's start this. It continues going, so listen to it.
Bryansk and Kursk regions of the Russian Federation. Starting from that point, as we have underscored many times, the regional conflict in Ukraine, provoked by the West, acquired a global character. Our anti-missile systems countered those attacks. As a result, the targets and objectives set by the enemy were not achieved. The fire and the ammunition storage in the Bryansk region, as a result of fragments of ATACMS missiles falling, has been contained. No victims. In the Kursk region, one of the command and control centers of our severed group was attacked. As a result of the attack and the countermeasures, there have been people wounded and killed. And those who were involved in servicing these facilities, those who were members of the command, have not been hit by the attack and are now continuing their operation to remove the enemy from the Kursk region. I repeat, the use of such weapons cannot change the course of the special military operation. Our military is successfully advancing along the entire line of contact, and all the objectives that we set before ourselves will be met. As a response to the use of US and UK manufactured weapons, the Russian forces have carried out a combined strike on one of the military-industrial facilities in Ukraine. And this included the test of a novel intermediate-range ballistic missile with a non-nuclear hypersonic payload was used. The test was carried out successfully. The objectives of the launch have been met. One of the largest and well-known industrial centers that is known since the Soviet times in the Dnipro region, which is known and to be involved in enemy production, was hit. And further plans are being made in Europe and the Asia-Pacific to deploy weapons and missiles. And we believe it is a mistake on the part of the United States to destroy the system that was established by the missile treaty in 2019. we see that the United States and their allies are now considering, and has successfully tested, their capabilities to deploy advanced missile systems in different parts of the world. And their exercises routinely include the use of such weapons. Russia has unilaterally refused to deploy intermediate and small-range missiles until we see similar weapons deployed by the United States in a region of the world. The use
It's the Black Friday pre-owned
we
sales
don't like
event
that,
all
but
month long
nevertheless,
here at Shaheen Chevrolet. Shop from over 250 pre-owned vehicles.
Go.
made by the United States and their allies. And the further actions will be considered and decided based on what we see from them. The further course of action will be determined based on the threats to the security of the Russian Federation. We believe that we have the right to use our weapons against military facilities of countries who allow their weapons to be used against ours. And in case of an escalation, we will act as decisively in a mirror fashion. The ruling elites of the countries are nurturing plans to use their military contingents against Russia should be warned. When choosing measures to be used in response, such as the use of systems that was tested recently in Ukraine, will certainly include warnings to civilians to clear the zones that will be targeted, and we will certainly do this in a transparent fashion. And we do not have any fears that it will reduce the effectiveness of those systems, because there is no way to counteract a missile that flies at 10 Mach, which is 2.5 to 3 kilometers per second. Existing anti-missile systems and the anti-missile systems deployed by the United States and Europe cannot intercept such missiles. It is impossible. So, once again, it is not Russia, but the United States who have destroyed the system of international security. And they are trying to preserve their hegemony and stoking a global conflict. We have always preferred, and we still prefer, to resolve our disagreements using peaceful means, but we are prepared for any scenario. And if anyone has any doubts, they shouldn't. There will always be a response around the world, as well as those who still nurture illusions that a strategic defeat can be inflicted against Russia.
All right, this is the beginning. That's how we started. So, this is what I got out of this. And I have this from Russia Today, where they have the speech, but the speech is just differently. It's just not good. But then I have his transcript, let's put it this way. And I'm going to tell you what I took out of this speech and the reactions. The first thing, it's the Americans, according to Putin, who want to inflict a strategic defeat on Russia to preserve US's hegemony over the planet. And now they try to stoke a global conflict. Therefore, he said, we are reacting to the missile strikes deep inside United States of America, Russia, with ATACMS and Storm Shadow missiles that he says we annihilated. And we warned them, and we are doing what we said we're going to do. So they launched, according to Putin, a Oresnik missile in response to NATO's aggressions against Russia. Our decision on further deployment on intermediate range and short range medium missiles will depend on the actions of the United States and its satellites. That is, the ball is in your court. If you continue or you do something else, we're going to respond. He said, to reiterate, we are conducting combat tests of the Oresnik missile system in response to NATO aggressive actions against Russia. Our decision to further deployment of intermediate range and shorter range missiles will depend on the actions of the United States and its satellites. Right here. That's not the most important thing. The thing that I'm interested in is, will he hit Poland, Germany, France, anybody who has anything over there and has systems? And I will say that based on his last part, saying the United States has no air defense systems that can annihilate our ICBMs in Europe. That is, when we're going to do it towards Europe, United States' air defenses cannot stop it. He's not talking about in Ukraine, in Europe. That was at the last part, and I'm going to read that for you. Right, it says here, we will determine targets during further tests of our advanced missile systems based on the threats to the security of the Russian Federation. Now, this is the way. You let someone hit, you make the propaganda, you tell your people, look, these guys are coming, this is what you're going to do, and you get the population outraged. When the population is outraged, it's easier for you to say, okay, now we can't take it anymore, let's do it. And everybody will say, yes, let's do it. That's why it's going to be easier for Putin to justify if he's going to launch a nuclear strike on whomever to his population, because some of his population, most of it I'm suspicion is not necessarily true, remember? I'm suspecting that they will say, God damn it, finally. Some of them will say that. Finally, we stop these baboons. Do it. Finally, he does it. Why? He held until he said the outrage grew and grew. That's a psychological way of doing things. All right, this here. We consider ourselves entitled to use our weapons against military facilities. This is what I care. Military facilities of those countries that allow to use their weapons against our facilities. So against military facilities of those countries that allow. So the facilities are in Ukraine or they're in Poland or United States of America. They're allowed to use their weapons against our facilities. So these guys allow, so let's say United States allows Ukraine to use them, military facility of those countries, military facility. So the facilities, let's say United States has a facility. Where is that? Is it a air defense system? Is it a long strike? Is it a Storm Shadow? Is it an ATACMS missile? Or is the facility that is, I don't know, located in Poland, of a country that allows the Ukrainians to hit us? Our facilities, they allow their weapons. It says allow their weapons. So the facilities of the countries that allow their weapons to be used by these guys against us. I don't think the weapons and the facilities are the same here. But hey, this is what I get. Maybe I'm not getting it right. But the last part of this, I think, pushes way to to my conclusion that he's gonna hit Europe. That's a threat warning. We're gonna hit Europe. Your facilities in Europe. As you hit our facilities in our country, we're gonna hit your facilities wherever they are. So it's not like you can hit me, I can't hit you. Now we're gonna hit you, not only our brothers Ukrainians. That's what I take out of this. All right, it says here. Military. So we consider ourselves entitled to use our weapons against military facilities of those countries that allow to use their weapons against our facilities, and in case of an escalation of aggressive actions, we will respond decisively. What does that mean? You're done, and in a mirror-like manner. So you hit us, we're gonna hit you. I recommend that the ruling elites of the countries that are hatching plans to use their military contingents against Russia seriously consider this. So they're thinking that they're going to use military contingents. All right, now in the next video today I will play a video showing the explosion, the aftermath explosion of the ICBM in Dnipro. I will show you that. I didn't want to use it here because I don't know how YouTube will react, and I want this video to go through. And the other one, I can tweak it left and right. You have to adapt with baboons all the time. Now, it goes without saying that then when choosing, if necessary, and as a retaliatory measure, targets to be hit by systems such as Oresnik on Ukrainian territory, we will in advance suggest that civilians and citizens of friendly countries Friendly countries residing in those areas leave danger zones. He didn't say it that way, if I remember correctly, but nevertheless, we will do so for humanitarian reasons, openly and publicly, without fear of counter moves coming from the enemy, who will also be receiving this information. So he says, we're going to hit that target in Ukraine, get your people out, your civilians out. Why? Because he said these missiles cannot be countered. All right, let's go to the last part. Why without fear? Because there are no means of countering such weapons today. Missiles attack targets at a speed of Mach 10, which is 2.5 to 3 kilometers per second. Air defense systems currently available in the world and missile defense systems being created by the Americans in Europe cannot intercept such missiles. It is impossible. I don't think he said created, I think he said deployed. Let me see. Okay, similar, we'll do it. No way to counter us in US, in everyone deployed, cannot counter us. So they said deployed, not available. He said not, he said deployed. All right, so he said the systems created in the US and deployed in Europe cannot counter us. That is, in my conclusion, in my understanding, that if he's going to decide to strike Europe, it is always when you make a threat, in order to a threat to be a little bit or tougher, or to get to a point, is to make the other side thinking about it. So if you say, I'm going to punch you in the face, okay, you say this is the face, I'm going to prepare, blah, blah, blah. But you say, I'm going to punch you, or I'm going to hit you. You don't know, you have to prepare, you don't know how I'm going to hit you. I'm going to use a baseball bat, I'm going to, punch you with a fist, or maybe I'm going to kick you. Hit, everything that falls under the hit. All right? My train is going to hit you, you don't know. So it makes you think about what's going to be. And our brains, we have a lot of big imagination. Therefore, we're going to think about awful stuff. If I say punch you, that means it's a fist coming to your face. Punch you in the face, that's clear. Oh, it's not a big deal. But I'm going to hit you, is a little bit different. So I think that's why he says that. If anyone still doubts this, make no mistake, there will be always a response. Consistency. Now, all right, let's see how these baboons are reacting. Now, first we go to Serbia, and we have Vucic, the president of Serbia. Putin not bluffing about nuclear weapons, he says. Now you can say, well, he was activated to say that. Maybe, but I really, I'm in consensus with Alexander Vucic on this one. He is not bluffing. The Balkan states president has issued a passionate warning to Western leaders, and this is what he said. He added that only crazy people of those unfamiliar with Putin would dismiss his warnings, and I'm quoting. If you think you can attack everything on Russian territory with Western logistics and weapons without getting a response, and that Putin won't use whatever weapons he deems necessary, then you either don't know him or you're abnormal. You know what abnormal means? In Romania, that is not normal, okay? All right, so it says the world is approaching disaster. I think so. Now let's see what Zelensky Stein is saying. Remember, Zelensky Stein doesn't care because his people are not going to be hit. Why? Zelensky reacts to Putin's statement. This is escalation in scale of war and cynical violation of the UN Charter. Okay, that means go on. So this is what you say. Today, Putin admitting to taking a second step towards escalating and expanding this war. A new ballistic missile was used. Putin struck our city of Dnipro, one of Ukraine's largest cities. This is the clear and severe escalation in the scale of brutality of this war, a cynical violation of the UN Charter by Russia. Let me emphasize this. This is already Russia's second step towards escalation this year. The first was involving North Korea in the war against Ukraine with a contingent of at least 11,000 soldiers, he claims. What about 3 years of our money coming to you? What about our installations? What about our soldiers? How about our satellites? How about our sanctions? That's nothing. That's not an escalation. All of them are escalations. Why? The West had nothing to do with that. It was between those two countries. If we are supposed to look at it in a United Nations, angle. But hey, these guys were involved and will be involved because they think they will not be hurt. We will be hurt. Now let's see what Maria Zakharova has to say about this. Russia Today. Russian diplomat mocks Zelensky's reaction to Oreshnik missile strike. The Ukrainian leader is being infantile by blaming Moscow for the escalation in the conflict, Maria Zakharova has said. Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky is acting like a child after Moscow conducted a strike with a new hypersonic missile this week, Russian Foreign Minister spokeswoman Maria Zakharova claimed on Friday. And it says the test came in response to Kiev launching Western-donated ballistic and cruise missiles into Russia's Bryansk and Kursk regions earlier this week. He added, that's Putin. Now remember, let's say you're a Russian guy, and you are bombarded in your house by someone with someone else's weapons and probably with the logistics and the military supporting. What should you do? You should just bend over and take it. If you always go back in history only to the 24th of February 2022, then you say, yeah, okay, Russia invaded. If you go only there, if you pick and choose and your history starts only there, then okay, the Russians are evil. But if you go further, and just a few months before that, how the Russians tried to solve the problem. But then if you go even back, when Zelensky was elected, if you go back to the 2014, actually 2015, 2014, the two Minsk agreements again with the guarantors. And then you go again back to 2014, the overthrow of a legitimate democratically elected government of Viktor Yanukovych in Ukraine with the help of outside external. You go back, you go to NATO's statements in 2008 in Bucharest summit. If you go back to 1994, if you go back to the expansion of NATO, remember 1991, the promise NATO will not expand eastward 1 inch. There was a lie. There was a broken promise. By whom? By us. But not by us, by them who speak in our names. There's a problem, one of them. So I think she's right. This guy is just an infantile. Let's go and see what exactly she says. She says like this. Commenting on social media, Zakharova said that the Ukrainian leader's claims were as wondrous as his previous ones. Sounds like, Daddy, why are you punishing us for breaking the window now? It's not the first time we've done that, she said. Dmitry Medvedev, the former Russian president who currently serves as a deputy chairman of the country's Security Council, has described the strike as a warning to Moscow's adversaries. It's not talking about Ukraine here. And I'm quoting, so that's what you wanted? Well, you've damn well got it. End quote. He remarked on X, posting footage of the Oresnik strike, which I will do it in the next video right here. So next one. We have Russia Today. Biden is like a suicide bomber, end quote. Ex-CIA analyst Larry Johnson claims. He's going to take the world with him, he thinks. A mentally unfit Joe Biden had crossed the line between proxy and direct war with Russia. It's not him, the people around him is not where he is at. A new hypersonic missile, conflict escalation and warning for NATO, what you need to know. Putin vows of retaliations against countries providing weapons to strike Russia. See that? That is the warnings. And he says, Moscow reserves the right to strike the military facilities of countries that allow their weapons to be used against Russian territory. That of state gave a public papa will determine the targets during further tests of our newest missile systems based on the threats to the security of Russian Federation. We believe that we have the right to use our weapons against the military facilities of those countries that allow their weapons to be used against our facilities. According to Putin, the United States has ravaged the international security system, raising the risk of a global conflict. But we are also ready for any development. Do not doubt it. There will always be a response. So I think these guys say, we're going to fuck whomever we want. We determine that later. Ukraine forum. Ukrainian Minister of Foreign Affairs comments on Putin's statements on Dnipro strike. And this is what these guys say. We will ensure that this and other public confessions by Putin are used to bring him and his accomplices to justice. Justice is inevitable. So this imbecile is imbecile. Instead of saying, whoa, hold on, time out. The shit hit the fan. No. Yeah, that's another evidence that he's a criminal and we're going to bring him to justice when nobody's going to be still around but our elites with their bunkers and their AI-operated air systems and food operating blah, blah, blah. This is basically these guys. Oh, no, ignore that. It's nothing. It's nothing. Now, what if there would have been a nuclear weapon? Let's say that had a nuclear warhead. Do you think the change will be a change here? No, they will all, instead of saying, whoa, how can we stop this? They will say, see, Putin is a criminal. We told you, we have to react. We have to do what? to fight? Who's going to fight? Do you think Lindsey fucking Graham is going to fight? Is that what you think? You're going to fight. And but I'm too old. I'm old, I'm feeble, I can't enlist. All right, let's go to the next article here. Pentagon is just concerned by Russia's new hypersonic missile. It's just concerned. Ukraine has withstood significant largest attacks. So it's just a thing. And Ukraine has withstood significant larger attacks and will continue to fight for us with US help, not my help. Nobody asked me. According to spokesperson Sabrina Singh, the American Sabrina Singh. Okay? And it says that reckless rhetoric rather than a credible threat. You got this? So she dismissed this. But dismissed Russian President Vladimir Putin's warning to NATO as reckless rhetoric rather than a credible threat. What does it tell you? Go on, Putin. Continue. Why? Who's winning? Who's winning? Are the Russians winning? Are the Ukrainians winning? Are we winning? Or are they winning? They are winning. They have been winning since they told Putin, we're not going to negotiate with you in 2021, in October, November, December, and January 2022. We're not going to negotiate with you. What are they going to do? We're going to invade. Baby doll, you are fucking late. That's exactly how these guys thought. Now, they downplayed. Now, who do you think is going to fight? And here is what the Americans are saying. US military prepared for nuclear strikes. Spokesman. Why would they say that? This is on the 21st of November 2024, which is exactly yesterday. So the United States prepared for nuclear strikes. Washington is nonetheless seeking to avoid any use of such weapons. The US is ready to use nuclear weapons if necessary, but would only do so on terms acceptable for the country and its interest. US Strategic Command spokesman Rear Admiral Thomas Buchanan. Okay, so there you have. We'll continue to lead the world. US will continue to lead. Do you mean they rule the world? That's how I see it, and most of the world. If we have, and I'm going to have an exchange, then we want to do it in terms that are most acceptable to the United States. Okay, do the Russians have the same right? Does Romania have the same right? Okay, we'd have to have reserve capacity. You don't expand all of your resources to gain winning, right? Because then you would have nothing to deter from at that point. So they say, we're going to be ready for a nuclear attack. Are you ready? Why would you be ready? Would you want that? For what exactly? For Ukraine? For Zelensky's time? For the big banking systems interest? For the military-industrial complex? We're going to be hurt, not them. The same when these guys are pushing towards us, this so-called green energy deal and carbon emissions, they talk about you and I. We're going to go back to caves. Not they. They will not go to caves. And I'm going to give you the clearest example. Do you remember when it was the COVID garbage? I'm going to use California with the Super Bowl. There was the whole stadium had this, masks mandates. The people the plebeians, wore those masks over there, but the VIPs, the personalities, the politicians, the athletes, the baboons, they had no mask. They were partying, they were dancing over there. So for us, green energy will be limited, not for them. They will have their energy because they're going to have the money. You're going to have less energy. They will give you 2 hours, I'm just exaggerating, that can get 2 hours of electricity per day because the windmills are not going to work, or the solar panels don't be able to get energy enough to sustain our economy. They're going to say, well, we can't. You can't drive your car anymore because that's going to emit this much. They're going to give you, 15 minutes a day, I'm exaggerating, to be able to use your car because of the emissions. For the ones that have still combustion engines. For the other ones, it's okay, you can use it, but not too much. Why? Because of the CO2. But they fly. Did you remember how much these guys flew for the campaigns, the Democratic Party, the one with green energy, clean energy? Have you seen how many hours of charter flights, airplane flights they did during their campaign? None of them walked, used the bicycle or electric vehicles. They flew. And they tell us about the carbon emission? Please. So the same here, my friends. They're okay. If these guys, they think, if they get in a nuclear war, it's not going to be them being hurt. It's going to be you and I, the baboons, the plebeians. All right, let's go to the last article here. I'm going to show you, I will show you how these guys are making the news for us. This is the Institute for Study of War. I told you many times who's in charge of us, and it's not us. It's they or them, however they identify. Oreshnik, IRBM strike lacks real escalation. Got that? Now these guys are owned so-called Institute for the Study of War, are owned by Kimberly Kagan. You know, do you remember Kaganovich? Lazar Kaganovich, that murderer, the killer with Stalin? They were not Russians. Kaganovich was not Russian. Was like the same kind as Kimberly Kagan. Why? Kimberly Kagan, the director of Institute for the Study of War think tank in Washington, D.C., that the Ukrainians are consistently using to give you the news and the assessments with their experts, are owned by these guys. And then Kimberly Kagan, married to Mr. Kagan. Mr. Kagan has a brother, another Mr. Kagan, who's married to Victoria Nuland. They're all Kaganoviches, Zelensky Steins, all of them. They make the assessments, and they tell you, Europeans, don't worry. What Russia did lacks real escalation. There's nothing, man. There is nothing. Why? Remember the First World War and the Second one? They killed our creme de la creme of our continent, our civilization, our culture, our traditions. The Russian dictator intensified his reflexive control campaign against Ukraine and its Western partners. So you see what's this? He's just crazy, don't worry about it. The Institute for Study of War highlighted several key points for Putin's televised address following the November 21st morning strike with what is believed to have been a modified RS fired from Astrakhan Oblast. He explicitly threatened to attack Western countries. Got that? That support Ukraine's long-range strikes against Russia. This threat is seen as a part of Russia's ongoing information operations aimed at discouraging further military support of Ukraine. Moreover, Putin's rhetoric linking the missile strikes to Russia's nuclear capabilities represents a significant intensification of this campaign. However, his constant gun rattling is primarily rhetorical. The threats against the West revolve around the alleged Western support of Ukraine's strikes on Russian territory, which Moscow considers illegitimate, but Ukrainian forces have been striking what the Kremlin illegally defines as Russian territory for a long time, including occupied. No, they hit Bryansk and Kursk. They're lying, including occupied Crimea with US-provided ATACMS and UK provided Storm Shadow missiles since April 2023. See, they lie by omission. But Ukraine forces have been striking what the Kremlin illegally defines. No, they didn't have a problem with those. They have a problem when you attacked Russia, proper Russia. That is Kursk and Bryansk. The Kremlin uses of quote-unquote red lines rhetoric has been inconsistent, undermining the overall narrative of the Russian escalation. Putin has consistently escalated the war on his own, regardless of Western's decisions. And this is the assessment of the Institute for the Study of War, and has consistently refused to retaliate each time Western states have deepened their support for Ukraine. You see, the Western states did not escalate, they just deepened their support. You see, the Russians escalation, but the West has deepened their support, the US, the Western States. Okay, got it? So he was just inconsistent. He refused. Now, neither the Oreshnik strike nor Putin's speech represent a significant change in Russia's strike capabilities or the likelihood of its use of nuclear weapons. Russian forces have previously launched various types of missiles at Ukraine, causing significant damage of its infrastructure. The only new aspect was the Oreshnik missile itself, which showcased re-entry vehicles to enhance the spectacle of the strike and hint at a nuclear threat. So, my friends, it's an empty. Putin's threats should be seen as an empty rhetoric. William Burns, the director of the US intelligence agency, has previously described Putin as a bully who will continue to rattle his weapons. You got that? Now it's up to you to decide, do you think he's just rattling and he's inconsistent. So this guy got to the 23rd hour of the day, launching a ballistic missile, ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missile, mid-range, I think it was, and capable of carrying a big load of nuclear warhead. And this guy saying, he's just a bully, he's just an empty rhetoric. It's like someone tells you, don't come close, I'm going to punch, I'm going to do this, and you come close, and then he gets the pistol out. You still come close. He points it at you. You still come close. And let's say it's a revolver. And then still come close. And then he cocks the revolver. The little thing revolves. Click. You can see the bullet because you can see the revolver, the bullets over there. So it's barrel, whatever. You see it clicking. It comes over. It's clicked. You see his finger going on the trigger. And you still come. It's just bully rhetoric. What do you think, my friends? How do you analyze? Do you think it's bully rhetoric? I mean, until you see it, you will not believe it, because once that released, you can't take it back. Let's say Putin tomorrow pushes the trigger. What are you going to do with this fucking director of the Central Intelligence Agency, William Burns? Are you going to hang him? Are you going to check? What are you going to do with this guy? Just fire him? He is irresponsible. What are you going to do with these guys? They tell, oh, it's just rhetoric. What are you going to do with the Institute for the Study of War? Wouldn't you say that these guys wanted this? What are you going to say? These guys just ignored it? These guys just work for someone else, not for our interests? No, if only after it happened, you can't take it back after that. And who's hurt? They think they will not get hurt. Do you think that this CIA director is going to be hurt by the Russians? No, he has a bunker over there. He's safe. He's good. His family is good. Yours and mine are not going to be good. And they think this is going to be only on the Russian territory. Putin told them, again, don't believe the guy. He told them, do you think that you're going to be just, I think it was Lavrov who said that, I don't care, one of these guys. He said, or maybe Peskov, if the West think that this is going to be confined to Europe only, they're mistaken. This is going to come to you and I. Remember, those things cannot be countered in Europe. And according to the Institute for the Study of War, what they said at the beginning, hitting the Western countries. Right here, reflexive. All right, my friends. Explicitly threatened to attack Western countries that support Ukraine's long-range strikes against Russia. You take it however you want. I think that Putin gave him the final warning. What do you think will happen? I think these guys will continue to use ATACMS and Storm Shadow missiles into Russia. I am 100% certain that will happen. These guys will not back off by these statements. And they're like, do it, I dare you, do it. Next video, I will show you the explosion of that ICBM in Dnipro. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.